Well, hey fans, welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Spoilers. And today we're talking spoilers for The Flash. So first off, we'd like to thank our sponsor for this video, Flipfrog Books. Flipfrog Books is a Black-owned book publisher based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They've released children's books such as The Bacon Tree, I Don't Want a Pet, and Ned's Fanciful Webs. If you wish to purchase a book, the link is in the description below. Jump into a good story with Flipfrog Books. All right. Of course, joining me here today, Daniel Henry. He's pretty much my co-host at this point. I don't know how many of these he has been on, but we're glad to have him back. Tell people how you feeling, Daniel.
I'm feeling good. It's summertime, this teacher life. I'm still doing summer school, but it's a lot less hectic than the usual daily grind for us teachers. But I'm enjoying it. Got to enjoy some movies with you just recently, and always good to see my boy. I'm glad to be here.
And like I said before, today we are talking about The Flash. You and I actually, we saw this opening night after my screening for Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. We went and saw The Flash in IMAX,
My eyes
and
were
it's
killing me that
just,
night, man.
yeah, and I've just been really busy. I finally got my review out. I forget, I don't know, like a week or so ago. Finally getting to do the spoiler review. This movie has been just a mess from the beginning. It's gone through tons of directors, tons of writers. Finally, they got it out. The whole Ezra Miller situation, and it bombed in theaters. It bombed. I think it only made like $200 million. It's
I didn't know
apparently,
that. What was his budget?
I think the budget was around like 200, 250.
So it
So
lost money? Oh,
it lost money, yes. But basically means I think they kind of broke even, which means
mm,
they put in money, they at least got that money back, but they didn't get back their marketing, and you
it
want to
wasn't
make a
what they.
profit.
It clearly wasn't what they wanted.
Clearly not. And I saw it in theaters that night. I recently rewatched it again, and it has its enjoyable moments. In my review, I gave it a decent 7.4 out of 10, and we'll get more into our thoughts on movies. But yeah, Dan, what were your just overall thoughts on The Flash?
I am a huge fan of the Flashpoint story. Obviously, I think its best screen iteration, whether it be big screen or small screen, was Flashpoint Paradox, the animated DC movie. And so I think that was probably a problem when I went into the movie. I was thinking of Flashpoint Paradox and how great that was, thinking I was going to get something similar. And to some degree, it was similar. But overall, it, at the end of the day, I was like, it was kind of just a movie. The little twist at the end, I picked it up right before I kind of saw that coming near the end of the movie. I was like, oh, that's just him. And then I saw that. I thought it would have been better. Maybe that had been Reverse Flash actually. And they went somewhere with that. I don't know. I enjoyed the cameos that popped up in it. That was like, oh, hey, look who it is. Hey, that was cool. But overall, I just really wasn't. I just wasn't really impressed. And there are a multitude of reasons. I'm sure we'll get into them. I'll touch on them as we go through with more of the questions. But overall, I wasn't super impressed. If I had to give it a ranking, a number, you say 7.4, I'd give it 6.5 to 7 around that range.
Yeah, and like I said, the movie had tons of problems going through tons of director. Ezra Miller went crazy basically shortly after shooting the initial footage for the movie, and there's tons of reasons for that. Apparently, his dad had died, and he was having a mental breakdown. And I think the issue with that is he didn't have nobody in his corner to be like, "Hey, yo, chill, chill.
Right.
You fucking the money up for everybody here. You need to calm
Facts.
down." Because he would get into trouble, he'd get out, he'd get into trouble again, he'd get out. And apparently he hasn't been like found guilty
Guilty
of
of anything
anything. I'll say
or
this.
charged with anything?
I was one of the people, like when all the stories come out in the media, he was doing some wild stuff, but he never did anything that I was like, it was white people stuff to me, if I can be blunt. It was like,
Right. I
apparently
get
like,
it.
he stole some liquor from some friends of his mom. I'm like, okay, just replace the liquor. Apparently he hit like that thing. I think years ago he apparently choked out some woman in like Iceland or whatever because she was like,
That's nuts.
I don't know, picking on him or making fun of him. And they have that little short video, and you're like, what's going on here? Nobody really knew. It kind of looked like it was a joke because it was kind of like so slow and so soft. And Ezra's, I guess, I don't know, he's a they. Ezra's a they. So I guess we should call him a they.
Right.
But like, it's like, can he get in trouble? He's not, it's not like it's a quote unquote man choking a woman. It's a they. choking a woman.
Well, let's ask the law. Well, I think the law doesn't care if you go by they.
Yeah,
They don't care.
And we have no idea what she said to provoke him. And then he hit that lady with that chair in Hawaii. Then got into an argument with some other couple in
Jesus
Hawaii.
Christ, now, that's assault. It don't matter about provoking. You hit someone with a chair. That's assault.
And all that stuff. And apparently he's calmed down now. Like he does interviews now. He seems he went to I don't know, what do you call it? Therapy? Not therapy. Whatever the more serious form where you go get help. He went to like some
like a
wellness facility or whatever.
Yeah.
And his mom,
Rehab.
he went to stay with his mom and she calmed him down. And apparently, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, George Clooney shows up as Bruce Wayne, and the timeline's still not fixed. And apparently when they shot that scene, because that was a reshoot, originally it was going to be Michael Keaton.
Bell.
It was going to be Michael Keaton. Apparently they really wanted Christian Bale in this movie. He said no. But it was going to be Michael Keaton, and at the end it was going to be like the timelines had fused together. And he was going to replace like Ben Affleck as Batman. And then,
was he still going to be Thomas Wayne, or was he going to be?
No, he was Bruce Wayne. He was Bruce Wayne. That was Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne. So he was going to be the new Bruce Wayne. Yeah, it's nothing like, we'll get to that.
Time out. So you're telling me, now I know they never actually formally said it, but I just assumed that Michael Keaton was playing Thomas Wayne when he went in Thomas. I was sure he was. I thought that was like, they never really pointed it out, but they always made it seem like his wife and son had died, and he and Thomas Wayne was Batman. They never officially said it, but that's why I always assumed.
No, it's supposed to be it's technically not. It's a version of Tim Burton's Batman played by Michael Keaton. And like I'll get into the whole timeline.
You're joking, right? This movie is even worse than what I thought it was. It's definitely a 6.5 now.
So, but yeah, originally it was supposed to be Michael Keaton returning as Batman. And then when things are starting to shift, they reshot and they're like, nope, we're just going to keep Ben Affleck as Batman and do all these cameos. He also shot a cameo for Aquaman. And then when James Gunn jumped on, they're like, all right, we're going to change it again. But like I was saying, apparently when he shot that scene with George Clooney talked to him and told him, look, this industry can make you crazy. You need to like keep controlling yourself. And apparently he was like, actually listening to him. They say he did a good job that day. This was after he'd gotten better. So all that jazz, we get into the movie we got. And yes, the animated Flashpoint movie is 1,000 times better. It's 1,000 times better. And the reason is just there was way too much that went into making this movie. I can't remember the original director's name. I'm gonna look it up real quick. So Rick Famuyiwa, he was the original director attached to the movie when Zack Snyder jumped on. He's the one who hired Kiersey Clemons to play Iris West, and his story was going to be more of like a simple Flash story, which is what you need. You need to start out with a simple Flash story. So it was going to be about him investigating his dad's, innocence, working at the lab, and it was going to be some stuff involving like police corruption and whatnot.
Okay.
And because
I can dig
it was like the height of the Black Lives Matter movement.
It just depends on who the villain is, obviously. But
I think he was going to put Captain Cold in there. It was all supposed to tie.
Was he going to get to play Captain Cold? Was it going to be?
They never got that far. I like Wentworth Miller, so I wouldn't have minded that. It would show some like connectivity, but that was going in what Zack Snyder's original plan was. He was keyed into that. He got into some disagreements with the studio. He walked away. He was like, look, y'all trying to change this movie away from what I want to make it. Then I think somebody else came on to write in between then, and they left. The guys who wrote Dungeons and Dragons, they signed on to write the movie. And everybody's like, that's great. That's a great choice. They did Game Night. They've proven themselves as like decent directors and good writers. And then they left. They're like, yeah, y'all are messing with, what we're trying to do. And, eventually it came down to Andy Muschietti. And you can tell all the hands that went into this pie because Walter Hamada, he was like, I'm sick of what Zack Snyder's doing. I want to reboot this universe. And he basically tried to make this a Flashpoint movie with the Flash's first movie, which is ridiculous. But he wanted to change the Flashpoint story.
That's not a Flash first movie.
And I remember like people were okay with that. They were like, okay, you're going to do Flashpoint because the actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan in Batman v Superman, he's shown as Thomas Wayne. So everybody's like, we're getting Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne Batman. You can look up the images online. It looked like it was about like, hey, we can work with this. But then, of course, they bring back Michael Keaton for nostalgia, which, what were your thoughts on Michael Keaton as Batman? And I'll go to
I'm a big fan of Michael Keaton. I like Michael Keaton. I enjoyed the Batmans with Michael Keaton, especially the first one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I thought they did his fight scenes. Like the fight scenes I thought were great with when Batman was there. I thought those are excellent. They made him especially brutal, it seemed. But I don't know. it's like he seemed almost like a hermit. Like I just didn't know what they were trying to do because he wasn't even like when Michael Keaton was Batman. Like it was like a totally different semi like shut in Batman. I didn't hate him. I didn't hate him as Batman, but like I said, I thought it was gonna be Thomas Wayne, so that's different.
Yeah, I like to see. The thing is, I like Michael Keaton. I like Michael Keaton as Batman. I like what they did with him in this movie. I don't think it fit. Like they're going with this whole, they're wanting to cap off the Snyderverse thing. But if that's the case, then you go with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman. You do the actual Flashpoint story. You set up a Wonder Woman and Aquaman. You could have easily did that whole war between Themyscira and Atlantis and had that fight between Mara and Diana. That that
was great.
Anybody who's listening right now, stop, pause, go watch Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, an animated DCU movie. It is amazing. It is a great adaptation, and that's what they should have did here. But yeah, Michael Keaton, he was
fine. They took so many parts from it. That's the thing. Like they took so many things from it, like having switching to Supergirl, that's fine. I don't mind that. Instead of having Superman, but having her imprisoned the entire time, like as a weapon. Okay, that's basically what they did in Flashpoint Paradox, and I thought I had no problem with that. But
that actually, upon my second watch, that makes less sense because in the Flashpoint Paradox, when Clark or Kal-El, when he arrived on Earth as a baby, that's when they imprisoned him, which it makes sense why he's weak or whatever as an adult and has to get stronger. In the regular Superman mythology, Kara came to Earth as like a teenager to to follow Clark. So how did they capture a Kryptonian teenager on Earth? Even if she didn't have full control of her powers, I doubt they could have actually captured her. Like that doesn't make sense. If she were a baby and they captured her, yes, but clearly she wasn't because she says, "Oh, I was sent to be with my cousin
to look after my cousin."
Yeah, and also the fact that Zod found Clark as a lot of it doesn't really make sense.
As he was moving through space,
because they were trapped. They didn't get out of the Phantom Zone until Krypton blew up, because the gates blew up, and that was what let them out.
And if Kara came, her ship was behind Clark's. If you caught Clark, you would have caught Kara too.
Exactly.
Or you would have caught her and not him.
Yeah.
So
there's certain things I feel like they didn't really think about involving that, but I didn't mind her being there. I like the actress. I do feel bad for her because she was supposed to be Supergirl moving forward. I mean, hopefully they give her another shot. They're making a Supergirl movie in the new DCU moving forward, so hopefully they're just like, here, you can have it here, or at least here, audition. Let's see what you got. But yeah, she was fine. Michael Keaton was fine. What were your thoughts on Ben Affleck's Batman?
I've enjoyed Ben Affleck as Batman. I never really had much of a problem with it. I thought the scene, his one scene, was good. He's done being Batman now, right? He's gonna be anymore. Oh yeah, that's right. So I like Ben Affleck as Batman in the movie. He was only there for what, 10 minutes, maybe 15.
Maybe, yeah. I thought on my second watch, that opening scene with Batman chasing down the criminals, that's probably the best action sequence in the movie. And the only thing I don't like about him in this movie, I don't care for that new armored batsuit. I'd rather them just have gone with the old batsuit that they've had in the previous movie, or at least the armored batsuit from Justice League. It looked better than this one. This one looked like he was wearing hockey pads or something. But yeah, that opening, I watched that opening action scene on repeat. I watched somebody who did a Zack Snyder grayscale version of it. It's like comic book Batman. The way he comes out of the plane, chases down the criminals, like when they blow up that truck and he just glides out of the fire, and then it's I think Andy Muschietti did a great job directing that scene. Ben Affleck does a great job playing that role. I just didn't like the suit. I like the connectivity when he's talking to Barry that one time and he's telling Barry, look, don't go into the past, like that whole speech about these scars we have, they make us who we are. And Barry's like, well, maybe we can go out for a drink or whatever. He said, maybe some other time. Then later, when Michael Keaton's Batman dies that one time, and he says, can I save you? Or whatever, can I help you? And then Michael Keaton's Batman says, maybe some other time. I like that kind of connectivity between them. It makes me mad that Ben Affleck is supposed to get his own Batman movie, and we have all these great scenes with him, but he didn't get his own movie out of all these other superheroes, and he's like the best one.
Still working towards that Bat-pocalypse, that apocalypse scene with all the desert and Batman's in the
that's done now.
The duster.
that's done. That was part of Zack Snyder's whole
What a
plan,
waste
and
of a
that's
what an entire waste of.
it is. It's sad because that's some of the most interesting stuff I've seen. It's like, oh snap, there's a futuristic hellscape where Darkseid won. And I do like this film actually does it makes Zack Snyder's Justice League canon because it only references stuff that happened in that movie and not the one they released theatrically. So I
Mhm.
like that aspect. But yeah, all of that plot line is wasted. And that's like the most interesting. We've had Superman, Batman movies in the past. We've never had them together. And we've never had such a dreary, almost realistic, although it's not realistic, but like realistic take on look, they can
Mhm.
lose. And clearly in one timeline, they lost. And Batman's trying to
Mhm.
fix it. And I really wanted to see that. And the Flash is still alive in that future timeline because he's the one who goes back in BVS and is like, look, blah, 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 something, 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 something. But I feel bad for Ben Affleck to be so wasted and well, it's not his fault. And they just what they took away from Zack Snyder, yeah, it's just sad. But
Mhm.
what were your thoughts on like the Flash in this movie? Barry Allen. How'd you like him?
I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm gonna need to see Ezra Miller in a few more movies to determine if he can act.
Have you
Like
seen Perks of Being
if
a
he
Wallflower or he was in another?
I didn't see that.
Oh,
Perks of Being a Wallflower. I didn't see that one. Like I
he's a
don't know.
pretty good actor.
Okay, I didn't. I don't care for his iteration of Barry Allen.
You don't?
I do not care for that. Like the really awkward, like almost like autistic in a way. Like he
Uh-huh.
seemed almost autistic. Like I don't care for that. Like it's just very. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that Barry Allen. Now maybe it's because they didn't do enough of a backdrop to determine why he's like that. I mean, obviously your mother gets killed, your father ends up in jail. They don't say anything about whether he went into like the system in some story, obviously in the CW version, he's kind of like raised by the West family. They didn't. I'm assuming that didn't happen in this universe, but they never really say what happened, like how his upbringing was, to
Mm-hmm.
help to make him like that. But he just seemed very. I just didn't find him very likable. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I did not care for this Barry Allen.
I agree with you. And I think that was the point that they were trying to make is that he's not likable, which is why in this movie, when he meets his younger self and his younger self is
Mm-hmm.
just talking, he's like, I get it now. I get because he's more mature now. He's like, yeah, I get why people are so upset with me. I'm just not listening. I'm always talking. And I think he played like against himself very well. Like as he's the
Mm-hmm.
more because like I said, if you watch something like the kid can act. The kid can act. If you
Okay,
give him something that he can work with, he has chops. His
I'll take
mental
your word
state,
for it.
I don't
I'll
know.
take your word.
And that, like I said, I like his acting in this movie. I like him like pretty much telling his younger self, you don't even know what you have right now. Like you use like that little monkey that the mom gave him, like he was just throwing darts
Mm-hmm.
at it. He was like, you don't even treat this could not be here. Like you're so spoiled and you're using
That's
these
something I didn't like though. I didn't like that
you didn't
because
like that.
yeah, like first of all, like you're implanting your own problems onto him. He was raised in an entirely different world, universe, timeline, wherever they want to go with dimension, because they never really. It seemed like they never really hacked that down. They were throwing around multiverse and timeline almost simultaneously. You cannot implant your problems on him. Like that's your problem. You are mad because your mother is like his is. Like you don't know anything about like maybe his relationship with his mother is completely different than what you expect. So that's one thing I did not care for. Like I'm like, oh, first of all, don't get mad at me because your mom did. All right, my mom lied. All right, that's on you. All right, that's the stuff that's all I'm thinking of. I didn't care for that. I didn't like that.
Oh, yeah, like I thought it was I thought it was a good
I
just to let you
understood why.
know.
I
Uh-huh.
understood why it happened. I understood it, but I was just like, maybe I'm just thinking for myself, like, hey, Lily, don't put your problems onto me. All right, this
Uh-huh.
could be the same person. Don't mean to be the same person. All right.
I yeah, there's a lot of that the are you like once you're cloned, how you your personalities, even though you're the same person, start to
Mm-hmm.
like be drastically different. So here, and this is like a younger version of himself.
Exactly.
But like I said, I like them playing against each other. I do think it did get like a tad silly at times.
That's another thing.
But I do like another one of my favorite scenes that I actually think they did very well was the fact that he's realizing this is a different universe when they're like, oh, from that movie Top Gun with Tom Cruise, and like, you mean Kevin
Oh yeah,
Bacon? Like how they just like, no, this actor was
that was
actually in
a
this role.
that was a good scene.
Yeah, and I like that aspect. It's just like things are slightly different, but it's basically the same universe. I mean, you got an older Bruce Wayne, but yeah, I thought that was a great scene. I thought like the scene where he's actually like displaying his powers. I thought that was neat. because for the longest time, I don't even know when I first
Which
realized
thing?
he could do this. You remember when the first time when he grabs him, he's like, "We're gonna walk through the wall." He says, "We're gonna
Oh, it
phase through,"
vibrates.
and they
Yeah.
show him. Yeah, he vibrates through. For the
Mhm.
longest time, I didn't know the Flash could do anything but run fast. Like I don't think it was until like that old till Justice League Unlimited or whatever that I realized he could
Mhm.
do more than that. And like the fact that if he runs really
Oh yeah,
fast and
like move
punches
his arms
you,
fast.
yeah,
Yeah, he can.
yeah, if he runs really fast and punches you, he could kill people. Like when he was
Yeah,
fighting, yeah,
speed translates to power. So
yeah.
yeah.
So him using all his powers, I thought that was neat to finally see because we didn't get to see that in any other movie. One of the things I still don't understand about this movie, the CGI is terrible.
Yo, bro.
Looks there's no reason it should look that
Yo, bro.
like after all the delays, you put like look, fix the CGI because I'm just watching. I'm like,
I've seen video games with better graphics.
yeah, I'm like say what you want about Zack Snyder. That man's his CGI and his scene,
I
it
could
was on
barely. There are
point.
times I couldn't even tell with Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
There are times I
He,
couldn't even tell. Like,
he,
anytime he went to the Speed Force, I was like, here we go. Let me
yeah.
turn the cutscene on.
Yeah, it looked just like a cutscene. And the same thing, like the final battle with Zod,
Oh,
that whole thing looked like when they get there and then like the camera pans out, I'm like, this is like a video game cutscene. It doesn't quite. I get they're trying to pay homage to Man of Steel and Zack Snyder. I think they did an okay job, but they didn't do the greatest job because in with Barry being from the future, and that whole time they're like, we got to stop Zod, and that's how we can stop him from terraforming the planet. Superman in Man of Steel, he didn't fight Zod until after he destroyed the world engine. That was what he did to stop the planet from being destroyed. At no point are they like, we should destroy the world engine. They're
they just
always
said let's
like,
stop Zod.
yeah, they're like, we need to kill Zod. It's like, no, that's not, no, you need to destroy the world engine. And then even after the
That was
fact,
the thing he stabbed in the car, right? That was the blood activated, right? Her blood
no,
activated it.
that thing was to get like the codex from her blood that allows them to, because all Kryptonian DNA was kept in the codex because all of their babies were born basically via computers. Like they had
Okay.
everybody's DNA and they just put it together and made babies. What was unique about Kal-El was that he was born the old-fashioned way, which was like illegal on Krypton. It's like we don't do babies like that anymore. We have
Okay.
everybody's DNA and we grow them. So yeah,
Right.
that's another thing about him that was different. And maybe that's what made him stronger. Who knows? But like after that, like they lose and they go back in time and keep trying again. I get that it's a fixed point in time, but with as fast as the Flash is, there's no way he
Yeah.
loses that. And with as many
He's
times as
like
he did it.
I think they undersold how actually fast he is. Like Superman's
Yeah.
fast, but the Flash is faster.
It,
Superman, I mean, well, it depends on how many powers you're gonna give Superman because he's been given a lot. Like, yeah, he can fly around the world enough to rewind time, but like it's like he forces the Earth to move backwards, whereas Flash can move himself through time.
yeah.
And
And
so, but the Flash is so much faster than
yes.
Superman, which is the thing. And it's just I don't know. They just didn't. It wouldn't have. He wouldn't have failed that many times. It's
Yeah.
like how many different outcomes could there have been with you and Supergirl fighting Zod? Even with his experience, I don't think Zod should have won.
Yeah. It like I can see I think they should have explained it better. He should have come out like of all those like time loops saying, like if he just wanted to say if his goal is like I have to save Supergirl, he should come out and be like, I can kill Zod, I can win, but it should have been focused on her. Like I can't save her for some reason. I can beat Zod, but I can't save her. But they never explained that. It just makes it seem like both happens.
They
He can't beat
yeah,
Zod and he can't save her.
he can't
I
save her.
think it should have just been that he can never save her, and it should have been played up on that whole like he's fallen in love with her type of thing. But they didn't do that, and it ends up being just a mess. And when you get to the end, you got the whole George Clooney scene. I don't think that is a great cap. It's supposed to be like this is the cap to the Snyderverse. The Snyderverse is over, like a kiss goodbye. It doesn't work with George Clooney, and I like that scene. George Clooney looks good. He looked him in that suit. He was looking fresh, and
Silver
it's funny.
Fox, man.
Yeah, I like the old Batman and Robin movie or whatever with him. It's funny. It's a comedy. But if this is supposed to be the end of the Snyderverse, it doesn't make sense. In that moment, the two things. In that moment, one, it should have just been Ben Affleck again, and then they could have been like, let's finally go have that drink now because he said another time. And then they walk off into the sunset, and that's the end. Or do it like the Flashpoint paradox. It should have been Thomas Wayne, who was in the alternate universe, and he hands him that letter from his dad, and Bruce reads it, and the tear falls down his eye, and he says, "Thank you, Barry," and that's the end. But ending it on a joke, if nothing's coming after this, I think that was a mistake.
Right. So I'm just thinking like Flashpoint Paradox, when it was over, he was like he was shook from it because like a lot of people died. Actually,
Everybody died.
Didn't have to like that bomb went off.
Yeah, the bomb went off. He let the unit, the world got destroyed. He had to run in and stop himself from doing it. Yeah. Which did you watch Apocalypse War?
No, I still need to watch that. That's
actually is because it followed, like, those movies are all like it follows the timeline. That Suicide Squad Hell to Pay follows that as well, because you got the Reverse Flash who got shot in the head. He's trying to keep himself alive in that movie. Well, not keep himself alive, but get like a free, like get into heaven for free card or whatever, some mystical card. And then like in Apocalypse War,
that's one where they lose, right? That's when like everybody dies.
They lost. Constantine touches Flash, and he's like, "You did this. You went back in time and changed the timeline, which made this happen." Which is, and he says, "You got to do it again." So that's why
because like Flashpoint Paradox created that new 52.
Yeah,
it's what created the new 52, which is what that series of movies was based on, the new 52.
Yeah, and then he basically says, "Look, you got to do it again. Hopefully this time it works." So that's what this new Tomorrowverse timeline is. The Flash went back, and this is like the third timeline he's basically trying to fix. So yeah, like overall, I mean, there's so much more we can talk about on this movie or rag on this movie, but I think it was solid. Like you said, it's just a movie. I mean, there's great scenes with both Batman, but the story just pales in comparison to the animated movie, which I'd watch 100 times over. I mean, anything else you want to add?
I also want to say I'm not a fan of how the Flash moves, how he runs, and I get it. They want to make it look like he's like almost swimming through time or pulling himself through time, I am not a fan of that.
Apparently that is based on some like Buddhist monks. Like, these are like their movements are really quick, and like this is how they stretch. Like, you can find a picture of it online. So it's like form, like when you're training how to run, that's how you move, but I don't think you actually do it that way. So that's why it looks, and at the same time, I mean, he's the fast person alive. He can skip and still be faster than everybody. It's just he's goofy. But here's the last thing I want to throw in. I don't care for that CW Flash show. I watched like the first 2 episodes and I was like, yeah, I'm out.
Oh, the CW Flash show?
Yeah.
Here's the problem with the show.
After season 2 is pretty much him, Barry's just,
it's him going back in time. I'm like, bro, you're not going to fix it. And so I was at the third. I can only do so many speed villains, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm done. But and it's not that bad. Like I said, I watched the first 3 seasons and I enjoyed it, and then I stopped enjoying it.
Yeah, but the fact that he was not in this movie makes 0 sense. I don't care what his schedule is. You get one. Even Ezra Miller did that scene on Crisis on Infinite Earths for the TV show, and you can't get, what's his name? Grant Gustin. You can't get Grant Gustin for one scene, especially in that whole multiverse scene. You can't. That made no sense. They should have figured that out. And as much as this movie was delayed, they could have gotten him in there to shoot something or use some archival footage from the show. That doesn't make sense. Oh,
just like how they did in Across the Spider-Verse. They had what scenes from Andrew Amazing Spider-Man, from Spider-Man. They had all kinds of different scenes from. So yeah.
But I did, before we run out of time, I did actually figure out what happened between like the timelines and the multiverse. So basically, you know how at the end they have like those spheres. Each sphere is a different universe, and each universe contains like thousands of timelines. So what Barry did, like if his timeline is like just 1 point, he went back in time to like make it so that his mom didn't get killed, and that creates a branch timeline. But that Dark Flash comes and knocks him out of that branch timeline into a completely different timeline. So the timeline he's in crosses through Tim Burton's movies, the Snyderverse, and whatever. So that's why it's such a hodgepodge. It's not like exactly like one or the other. So it wasn't like he got knocked out of the timeline he created. He got knocked into a totally separate timeline and set the cell. But he's still within that multiverse as opposed to another multiverse. Now, how that connects?
He wasn't even in the timeline he wanted to be in anymore. He wasn't in his original one or the one he had newly created. He was in a totally separate one where something different kind of happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that timeline, pretty much by the end, they lose, it gets wiped out, and he just goes back and resets to a third timeline, which has George Clooney, which, yeah. But that will do it for us. Dan, tell the people where they can find you.
Pretty much just on Instagram, KI_D_chocolate, kid chocolate. Your favorite gamer's favorite gamer, your favorite Tekken player's favorite Tekken player. Yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Remember, you can read my full review and watch this video on the website, flipfrogllc.com/flickfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, anything and everything Flipfrog Books. Make sure that you subscribe. My next Let's Talk spoiler is going to be Secret Invasion. Boy, that's just a disappointment. But that Secret Invasion is going to be the next one. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.